Good afternoon, everybody. Well, good morning to some. This is Christy here. I am checking in. How are you all doing today? For those that do check in, either now or much later as the channel grows, my name is Christy, and I like to talk about different things that relate to femininity economics. And I speak a bit primarily on this channel about strengthening your inner beauty, your inner self-worth, your inner strength, and things of that nature. Kind of doing the working from the inside out approach when it comes to femininity and transformation and things of that nature on this channel. And I've been discussing for a while that I want to do in some of my previous videos that I was going to do a little talk here. I'll try to keep it short, on forgiving and forgetting. Is it really possible? And I take this notebook that you see here and I write down different topics that I'd love to discuss on this channel. And some of them are months and months old and they're just not ready to be shared. But I wanted to get this one off and share it so that maybe it will help someone. It certainly has helped me by embracing these philosophies that I speak about. I'm definitely of the camp of speaking from places of experience if you are going to speak, and I do want to bring things that are of value to the world, or at least that I feel is of value. And the best example is yourself, right? So that's where I'm at. As you can see, this little notebook here, I started this on the first of the year, the very first, 1/1/2025, and I'm just now finishing it up today. I really thought about it back and forth, and I'm like, I just can't. I feel like this is so important, but I was overthinking it. I was, and it's not even that deep. It's a decision. That's what it is. It's not deep. It's a decision. And I wanted to discuss forgiving and forgetting. And I started with defining them. Forgive, to cease, to feel resentment against, pardon, grant relief. The definition, this is just from like Merriam-Webster. Forget, to lose the remembrance of, unable to recall, to overlook, disregard intentionally. So those are just the raw definitions. And then here are the etymological definitions, where they come from. And I recognized when I was doing a little bit of research into the etymology of these two words, they are all laced in power. And very interesting, isn't it? Once you get to thinking about why do some people, many of us, choose to hold on to forgiveness so much, like, I would never forgive that. I will never forget that thing. It is founded in power. There's a certain power that you get, whether you like it or not, or even whether you even realize it or not. There's a tremendous amount of power in withholding forgiveness and choosing not to forget. So here are the two etymological definitions. Forgive is rooted in to give up desire or power to punish. It's a Latin origin of perdonare. And that word means completely. So to completely pardon is what forgive ultimately means. To completely pardon whatever the offense was. It's over. It's like it never even happened, right? To forget is to lose the power. There's that word power again, of recalling to the mind. It's Old English in origin. It's Forgetian. I believe that's how that's pronounced. That may be wrong the way I'm pronouncing it in Old English. But those are what that's where those words come from. And words are so powerful, isn't that? We use these words all the time, self included, and sometimes we just don't realize these words have they're containers for meaning. That's what words are. They're containers for feelings. They're containers for emotions. You know, they're very, very powerful, and they're used very loosely. I know I've had to become much more cognizant of the way I use words, and especially when we have that emotion fueling them. You can say some things that are quote unquote unforgivable, right? So that's what those two words mean and what they are defined as in our modern day world. And that really, to me, tells you a lot about why I was overthinking this. I'm wanting to say the right thing. I don't want to offend anyone, but it's just the real deal with power. With power is you power hungry. Your powerlessness of feeling offended or hurt, whatever it is that's causing you to hold on to the forgiveness and the lack of forgiving, the lack of forgetting, is something about you wanting power, And there's that one scripture in the Bible that speaks about, for the love of money is the root of all sorts of evil. I once read that verse could also be likened to, for the love of power is the root of all evil. I would dare to say money can equal power in many instances. I'm almost believing that word should be power. The love of power. That's what it is. It's not physical money. It's what money probably, the amount of power a person can obtain with a certain level of money, or a certain level of influence. It's the power. It's not the actual cash. You can do a lot of wonderful things with money. This is a channel where I like to speak about, and I will be speaking a lot more about the economic side of femininity. So that's just something I wanted to note. Is it possible? Is it actually possible? Let's get to the meat of it. Is it possible to forgive and forget? Just honestly, yes, it is. It's that simple. It's not a complicated thing. It's a decision. Like I said earlier, it's not deep. It's a decision. I'm going to forgive. I'm going to forget. That's how powerful we are. That's where the real power should be focused on. Your inner, yourself. You can do whatever you want to do. I want to forgive and forget that. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And I have been practicing this for a long time. And I'll assure you, it was much harder. It was much harder before I realized that just make the decision. If you want to forgive, it's done today. It's done. I won't say it's always, if it's just really deep in your psyche, something you've been replaying over and over again, you just been so crushed and hurt by that thing, or you were so offended, or whatever it was. You can unravel anything. You holding on to it actually makes it harder. And that's what I go into here next is, sorry, I'm shaking my thing here. Scripturally, of course you can. Matthew 19:26 says, with God, all things are possible. If you are a biblical researcher like me, I use the Bible as a guide, not something to beat people over the head with, not to beat myself over the head with. It's a guide for life. So it's a manual, in my opinion. So I will refer to biblical scriptures from time to time on here. You must recognize and utilize your God-given godness in order to fully exercise this great wisdom. That's really all you got to do. You just exercise it. You recognize, hey, it says with God. That means you don't do this on your own. Don't try to do this on your own. You're like, well, what is God? God is that innate power within you, within each of us, that powers us to be consciously aware of our lives, of our experiences, of our isness, all that kind of woo stuff, right? It's what you are at your core. That's what God is. So you need with God. Don't try to do it from a human only 3-dimensional world perspective. It's going to be too hard that way. You get God. You get to know the God within you as you, and this will make this a breeze. God is just as you grow in your spirituality, you really, really get connected. This will become so incredibly easy for you. Okay, so that's that. Is it possible? Flat out, yeah. Yup. It's that simple. So the next thing I said, why you should forgive. In my experience and belief, the only one who is most impacted by withholding forgiveness and refraining, you see all my little scratch outs. This is definitely a rough draft, but it's really good. Refraining, forgetting is the issuer, the person, the victim, you. If it's you, that's the one who just holding on to this, you are the one, you are receiving 100% of the negative effects of this. You are. You don't think you are, but you are. You are your health, your wealth, your friendships, your looks is negatively being impacted. I assure you there, because when you hold on to that, there's nowhere to go. It's like repressed emotions and stuff. You thinking that stuff is not gonna ever come out. It is. It's really not something that you want to stagnate in your body, in your mind, or you don't. You really do it for your own. When they say you forgive for you, that is the flat foot truth. I've heard that many, many times, and I used to like, how is that, benefiting me by forgiving that person? They're the one who did the thing wrong. That may be so. However, you're doing it for you. This is to free you, free your mind up. What somebody else have done to you, don't let it bury you. Just don't let it bury you, though. It's old. Let it go. It's done. It's ancient history. Who cares? That's what you got to get to. You do. And the last block I got down here. Let me see if I can get it in frame. But I got how, like a practically how. We're doing Camaro conversations, by the way. I'm in the Camaro chit-chatting. I'm out here at the park, my favorite place. And here we are at this last block. How can you practically do this? 2 ways. Accept responsibility and practice accountability. That's all you got to do. That is just the real deal. And I got a few little bullet points here on the side. When it comes to accepting responsibility, you put yourself in the driver's seat of your life. You know what you like. You know what? Accepting responsibility is just like, what come with it. It is going to come with the good, the bad, the middle, and the in-between, the indifferent. It's a range of things that come with the life experience, right? You accepting responsibility for your life. That's pretty much all that is. The next point is to invest time in forgiving and forgetting of your very self. By doing that, it becomes much easier to forgive others, because you'll know you ain't perfect yourself. You've been forgiven. Somebody in your life, somebody done forgave, some slick you said or done. You done did something too. And the faster you stop acting like you walking around here perfect and haven't did anything, you just cut it, man. Cut the crap. What them young kids say, cut the cap. Be for real. Like, you don't did something, you don't lied, you don't stole, you don't said some little messed up remark about somebody. So cut it. Invest time in that, and it will make it so easy to forgive others, because you will know no one is, perfect. They're not. Makes it very easy. And the last point about the accepting responsibility is cultivate, my little word, cultivate, because I'm a little gardener or whatnot. Cultivate the heart of a giver. You have that word give right there in forgive. If you have the heart of a giving person, once again, it'll just help you you can give in other ways. It doesn't have to just be forgiving an offense or forgiving something you've heard. That's not beneficial. Like, you know what? I'm going to forgive that person for saying it. It might not even be about you. It may be about something else. Like, I'm going to forgive that and I'm going to forget it, because it's not beneficial. It's not going to get either one of them two over there in a better place. You might not even be directly affected. It may be indirect forgiveness that you need to practice. So cultivating that heart of a giver, being a giving person just throughout life. It could be you're generous with money, the money that you have. You're generous with your time. You're generous with helping people in, maybe in a coaching setting or something like that. I think I may have that. I may be able to help coach some people. I'm thinking about doing that with some business stuff. Okay, and that last point, practice accountability. This is where you are literally taking responsibility and, doing something with it. That responsibility that you've accepted. Now, this is the day to day. This is where the wisdom is coming in at. I'm practicing accountability. I'm not just blaming, it's my mama's fault because she wasn't around, or, it's because this man don't left me. It's because this woman did me dirty, or whatever. It don't matter. So you how are you looking at the world? Just on a day-to-day basis, do you think that people are just no good? Do you look at others and say, yeah, I knew you was going to do something like that? I mean, do you already have a pre-programmed belief about people in the world that it's kind of like out to get you? A lot of people do, and they don't even realize it. Marissa Peer, a friend of mine, put me on to her, and she has that book, Tell Yourself a Better Lie. Like, what do you be saying to yourself all day long? Like, how are you looking at the world? This may be why you can accept accountability, because you look at yourself as being a victim of the world versus a victor. So how do you ask yourself that? How am I looking at the world? How am I looking at others? When you see somebody approaching you, what's your automatic thoughts? Maybe something you can, just take an examination of yourself. And another thing about take an honest look at your boundaries. And do you have some people pleasing in there? Things of that nature. Are you inviting opportunities for you to get used? Are you kind of taking too much bull crap? Are you being too nice? We look at the word like, oh, I'm not nice, I'm kind. There's nothing wrong with being nice. There's nothing wrong with being nice. It is definitely something wrong with doing it. It's always the intention behind things. Nothing wrong with being nice. And kindness is beautiful. But what's the intention of it? Like, what you doing? Because if you're doing it to please others in the sense of like some type of validation issue you got going on within, you might want to take a look at that. Take an honest look at you. Like, why am I encountering this repeatedly? Usually it's repeatedly. Why am I keep encountering this? Let me look at myself. Let me see what's stirring up in me. What frequency am I on? What am I vibing on? To where this is kind of making an appearance in my life a little too much. So that's that. And the final point about when you're practicing accountability, these are these practical steps that you can do to learn how to forgive and forget, is to live and let live. Other people may not be on what you on. That's something I have to remind myself. Would I be on? The other person, they ain't got to be on that. They ain't got to be on anything. That's not their, if they want to get some of this good stuff that I got, awesome. I love to share it, but I ain't finna beat them over the head about it. A lot of times we're in the situation of not being able to forgive and forget because we want people to be like us. They ain't on what I'm on. They ain't on my flow. Well, they're people different. People at different places. You at one point probably, be honest with yourself, before you were doing any type of self-help, because that's probably why you found me on this channel, you probably wasn't on there either. Everybody had to get there. So just live, do you, and let them live too. That's their right, let them do it. And you ain't here to beat people over the head. I feel like this way, if the creator is not beating us over the head, what do we look like doing it? That's them. So that's pretty much all I got to say about forgiving and forgetting. I wanted to keep it under 20 minutes, so I was able to do that. It's very simple. Yes, it's possible. You the one who gonna be, fueled, and just, I'm telling you, it's gonna bring so much lightness to your life. You could shave off 20 to 30 years just by doing this. I'm not kidding with you. And 20 to 30 years of just, because it's so much that you carry around with that, and you don't want to. We're supposed to be vessels of flow. Life is supposed to be flowing through us, not just stagnant, dead, just overgrown bush, and you just carrying this around because you can slap that card on them. Yeah, I remember when you XYZ, on the table. Okay, you're holding on to it. Usually that person is either completely forgotten it or they don't even care. So I would say, for your health, do it. Thank y'all for tuning in, and I appreciate you. I'll have more chats like this in the card steady coming, and of course we will be diving into more economic topics, talking about them cheddar cheese, them dollar bills, and how femininity relates to those things. I thank y'all so much, and have a great day. Later.